Changing the guard at Buckingham Palace, just one of the jobs the Grenadier Guards are responsible for. A peek behind the scenes of this historic regiment for the first time ever. Coming up on ITV1 in half an hour.
Shops on the front line.
Because they've stopped them and they've chased them out, the retribution for not letting me steal your drink is I'm going to cane your window.
Being a shopkeeper is now more dangerous than being a firefighter or a police officer.
There was blood on the floor. He was propped up against the fridge. Sorry.
As thieves help themselves, is law and order out of stock at the corner shop? It's a London shopkeeper's darkest fear, and it's cost the lives of too many. Whether burnt to death in a hateful arson attack, or fatally stabbed for just a couple of bottles of drink. Wembley, Willesden, Bounds Green, Holloway and Clapham. They've all witnessed shopkeeper murders in the past few years. But behind those gruesome headlines lies the fears of many more shopkeepers. They fear they'll be next, open all hours, and at the criminal's convenience. You've been held up at gunpoint. You've had CS gas buried in your face.
Yes.
You've had gangs come in and drag the till away.
Yes.
You've had people with swords. You've been punched.
Yes.
You've had a broken nose.
Yes.
And you're still in business.
Yeah.
Why do you keep going?
That's only look after family and our children.
One day somebody will come with a gun and shoot me or my husband. After that, what happened to my kids?
For over 10 years, Plaistows Mr. and Mrs. Kumar have endured more than 200 racial attacks and robberies, some caught on video.
You just keep your mouth shut, especially you, without a mouth. Listen, you're Asian, you're nothing.
Mr. Kumar says he'd be safer as a soldier.
It is dangerous. We are working like a soldier. Any time we can attack. We expect any time.
But there are no medals on this front line. Without a holiday in 10 years, he endures the fights. The being spat at. He won't even unleash his dog during a raid, fearing the law that's failed to deter all this would then turn on him.
I'm asking the police, why can't they helping the people like us?
They'd say that they're trying their best.
No, they're not trying at all.
This year, police boasted a 7% reduction in overall London crime. Yet, on their own figures, robberies of businesses soared by 17%. And that's probably an underestimate.
Over 40% of shopkeepers just don't bother to report crime. And that's simply because they say to us that nothing ever happens. They're completely demoralised about the process in reporting crime.
So you only report it now when it's violent?
Violent, yeah.
Or when somebody comes in and grabs something?
No, I don't report nowadays.
Zainab Kemsley has been monitoring the Kumar's safety for a charity.
Mr. Suresh Kumar's case is synonymous with a lot of people cases across London. He is an Indian trader, he has a small shop, and he is vulnerable. When he reports a crime to the police, it is not taken very seriously. I mean, if we take one of those Tesco, Sainsbury's, Metros type stores, any kind of incident that they have, shoplifting, attacks on staff, they have a policy to always report and prosecute these crimes. The reason why is to send a clear message that these things will not be tolerated. Yet that doesn't seem to apply when it's a black or Asian small family business. These crimes, when they are reported, the police don't take them seriously.
Zainab's logged years of CCTV footage captured by the Kumars, including police response.
An hour, 2 hours, 4 hours later, the police will turn up. The CCTV is still running. You then see how the police walk in, how they treat Mr. Suresh Kumar, how they're so dismissive because when he's upset, his English becomes a little bit more broken than when it is normally. The attitude, the rudeness. And it must be really quite sad for them to then notice that they're treated so much more differently.
Is the Met racist?
I would strongly refute that allegation. We deal with every crime in accordance with strict protocols. We respond to every call for help from a Londoner in accordance with those individual needs.
To do better, you obviously have to understand why shopkeepers aren't reporting these crimes. Any hunches?
Part of it is about the history of target setting within the police service. Groups hanging around unruly, getting drunk at night, throwing bottles in the street, and just shouting and abusing shopkeepers that before may not have been a priority for the Metropolitan Police Service and for Safer Neighbourhood teams. Now that is the very ethos and is the background as to why Safer Neighbourhood teams are in place.
The Met hopes its new dedicated Safer Neighbourhood team will give Mr. Kumar more confidence. Critics fear it may be too late.
Unfortunately, the perpetrators get so confident that time after time they become even more reckless, even more careless, even more confident, and then somebody dies.
That's exactly what happened here in Bounds Green. One of the last actions of Mr. Fari was to turn on the CCTV camera he'd bought to protect himself. It recorded his final moments as the killer on the left wields his knife.
The CCTV starts during the assault. By the time the tape fires up, my dad's already been stabbed 3 times. The guy's lunged for him with a knife. His arms come up to shield himself, and he also showed him try and protect himself with a stool that was behind the counter.
We all rushed down to the shop and I walked in. There was blood on the floor and he was sat on the floor propped up against the fridge. Sorry. He was laying there. They'd removed his clothes and I could see the stab wounds. And then they started talking in the past tense. And my daughter said, "What do you mean?" And then they said, "You've lost him, haven't you?" I'm so sorry.
Murdered for 2 bottles of whiskey. The killers were caught and given long sentences. But most attacks don't end in death. Mrs. Fari fears the courts only get tough when it's too late.
Some of the sentences are ridiculous. So, you know, the police do their job. Most times they do their job efficiently. They get these people and the courts just give them silly sentences and allow them back on the street again. And it's no deterrent if you're going to, you know, get a minimal sentence.
Across in Roehampton, the local MP says some shops have been so terrorised they've shut down. She fears police reliance on £80 spot fines for shoplifting is a green light for more crime.
They've had shoplifting, tried calling police, and they come maybe a day late.
The sorts of gun crimes and knife crimes we've seen across London recently, that behaviour doesn't just happen overnight. It started with petty theft. It started with getting stuff for the local gang and then getting involved. That's where it began, and that's where it ends up, is people getting killed. The message is that they can break the law, get a penalty charge, ignore it, and nothing happens.
The government is now considering totally abolishing prison for those who steal from convenience stores.
I'm sure you'll be able to quote some cases where individuals have started off by getting spot fines and then have gone on to more serious criminality. But equally, we've been able to find individuals where this on-the-spot fine has worked and has diverted that individual away from a life of crime.
That's the police view, but what about the criminal? Daryl James has done time. He's robbed shops, been in gangs, and carried a knife.
If you're strong enough and you're hard enough, you take what you want. That's life, and the strong will survive, and this is what we do around here, with the strong. I just don't understand why man want to kill man, you don't understand what...
Now he's turned a new leaf and helps East London kids stay out of trouble. But he still has a Robin Hood view of why shops get robbed.
You just try to say, well, let me make a profit off a man's back and don't give nothing back. Why don't all shopkeepers to get together, put some money down and make a youth centre for the kids? Do something about it. Take some of your profit line and go open a little youth centre or a little day park centre or something for the kids. So they won't have to be outside your goddamn shop and complaining all the goddamn time. You cut enough though. I see the Mercedes outside your shop. I see the Lexus. I see the BMW. You understand? I see your house up in Hertfordshire. You don't live in the hood. You just come around and work in the hood. We live around here. This is our community. Every morning we wake up in the morning and we're around here.
So who's right? The guy who's getting robbed or the guy who's taking then?
Hey, listen, at the end of the day, was Robin Hood right or wrong for what he done?
I think when criminals try to justify that they're playing Robin Hood by trying to get back what they're owed because the convenience store pricing is high, I think that's piffle. I think that's mere excuses. I think that's being really mealy-mouthed and just scraping the bottom of the barrel.
Coming up, how to beat the criminals.
We got 'em.
The Met show us their plan, plus the shopkeeper fighting back, and the owner who's caged himself into his shop. This store's fallen victim to yet another attack. One robber's wielding a 12-inch knife. But they're about to get more than they bargained for. The shopkeeper's had enough, picks up a broomstick and fights back. Flat on his face, it's one up for the shopkeeper. In Hackney, that's just what Orhan and his wife want to be able to do, having suffered a terrifying machete attack. And this is how he's learning to do it. Kickboxing.
Firearms, knives, machetes. I hear all kinds of stories. And shopkeepers come in and they say to me, what can you do to make me feel safer?
They come to my shop with a chopper, with a knife, and many times, and they pull the knife to me, and I want to do some martial art to, comfortable.
Left hook to the head, left hook to the body.
The difference now is that if somebody came into your shop, I think they would sense that self-confidence in you that would say to them, I will not be an easy victim anymore. I will put up a fight if I have to, and that will deter 99% of criminals will look for an easy victim somewhere else.
If I have to use it, I use it.
So you literally grabbed the blade, but yeah, took it out of his hand.
How badly but taking the criminal on like this can land you in court. Shab's store was raided by a gang. One pulled a knife and slashed his hand, but Shab managed to hold on to him.
I could have been stabbed, I could have been... anything could have happened to me, but the policeman was more interested in what happened to this guy, why we actually, accused us of laying our hands on him, rather than my issue. I'm the victim here.
And he's pulled a knife on you?
Yeah.
It's when they chase. It's when they have the courage and the guts to try and catch the criminal, and they actually catch them and obviously force them to the floor, rather like a rugby tackle. That, in a number of cases, has been misinterpreted by the police. So the police are saying to the shopkeepers, just let them get away, don't go after them. But there are a lot of entrepreneurs, there are a lot of shopkeepers who say, why should they get away with it?
We're living in a society full of thumb twiddlers that don't address our problems, but rather address the problems of the criminal.
We've gone soft?
I think we've gone soft.
So for the shopkeepers over the past years have concluded that it wasn't worth involving the police on certain incidents. Is there a new message?
Yeah, the message is Safer Neighbourhoods is here. Safer Neighbourhoods is here to stay, and I do acknowledge that it's the cycle of fear that has actually driven us to develop the Safer Neighbourhoods programme in London.
4,000 officers and £220 million have been poured into safer neighbourhoods. Every corner of London now has a dedicated team of officers getting to know the good and the bad on their beat. When PC Brian Austin arrived on Romford Road, his work was cut out.
How are things now, all right?
Yeah, better.
Yeah?
Lot better, yeah.
A lot better than it was before, yeah? Well, they were saying that, you know, the police are not really doing anything in the area. The problem's been here for like 4 or 5 years, and the police are not really acting with anything and not doing anything. They were losing business, for one. They were going through people coming into their shops, smashing at their shops, not just stealing stuff, intimidating them generally, and they were scared. You would be. Anyone coming in at your shop, start smashing it up, stand outside your shop, 15, 20 strong, you're going to lose trade as well, and they were scared to even go out of their shop. Some are even scared to open up. Hey, mate, how are you, all right? Yeah, not too bad. They just didn't know who to turn to sort of help them out, really.
To be honest, had they lost confidence in the police at that point?
Yes, they probably had. This is one of the shops, obviously Greg's for Bakers, that was obviously getting a lot of the shoplifting involved as well. Hello, how are you?
The previous manager before me, she had a bottle thrown at her through one of them, but now nothing.
No problem.
They've just helped us in catching them and taking them to court and getting the ASBOs put on them, and the ASBOs actually help because they're not allowed in the area, and if we have any problems, then we just call them straight away because obviously we know who they are now.
It took time, but I think the fact that we were here day in, day out, and they saw our faces and they could then start reporting crimes to us, and we would take them seriously, I think that's obviously what won them over.
Reported crime in this area has fallen by a massive 40%. That dedicated, back-to-the-beat policing seems to have worked. So why is it that just 2 miles down the road, same city, similar neighbourhood, Mr. Kumar is still frightened for his life? Zainab's come to see the Kumars because the Met has told them their panic alarm may be cut off after being used when 4 masked youths came in.
4 boys came in with balaclavas. They were completely covered, the face, you know, I can't see anything, you know.
As soon as you saw all the balaclavas, you pushed the panic button straight away, and now the police are threatening to take it away.
Yeah, because of, they were saying this is the second incident, you know, I sent the false alarm to them.
The prospect of no alarm terrifies the Kumars. But then the Safer Neighbourhood team arrives, unaware of the threat to cut it off. They want help identifying a local gang. Last time the shop gave the police information, they had a visit the next day.
Don't ever accuse me of doing alright? Don't ever do it! I don't give a shit whether you've got cameras or not. I've never done jack to you.
Helping the police can be a risky business.
We're seeing lots of examples across London where life is getting better for shopkeepers. Safer Neighbourhoods is making a real difference, and we've got to learn the lessons of why it's making such a big difference in some areas rather than other areas, and we've got to spread that message across London.
Clip to George's Cafe. I've just had a shoplifter in now, and he's heading your way. He's about
Trying to break the cycle of fear, Newham Council has pioneered a system where shopkeepers, CCTV and police are all linked by radio here in Canning Town. Even Shab is impressed with the results.
Thanks, over. Our streets all CCTV'd up. We can actually call the control room at Newham and they can point the cameras at the culprit.
In seconds, Control can see exactly what's happening at Shab's shop.
You're no longer isolated, you're part of the community, you're part of the entire Control security system.
A robbery or a house taken over.
With millions spent on this system, the local councillor says it's drastically reduced crime. All that technology, yet a young thief still robs this shop every day.
What just happened? What did that boy just come in and take?
Drinks.
And how many times a week does he come in and try that?
Every day. Monday to Saturday. Every day.
Use your radio. You have to be responsive yourself.
We're fed up of calling you people, calling the police, and all they say is, oh, they're gone, oh, we can't do nothing.
Show me.
I mean, what's the use of it then?
Yeah.
But the young thief isn't done.
Right.
And he's gone. How are we going to go home like this? Oh, I don't believe this. If I get my hand on that boy, I swear, I'm saying it to them. I'm gonna hit that boy if I get my hand. I'm gonna hit that boy if I get my hand. Stop saying that. Wait till I get him. His mom is not gonna see him. He better not come back.
Because they can't steal a drink from somebody, because they've stopped them and they've chased them out, they now come back, and the retribution for that, not let me steal your drink, is I'm going to cane your window. You know, well, that's just cost thousands of pounds because of a Coca-Cola, you know, and some little irk that doesn't want to be respectful to people. So, I don't know what to say, really. I'm pretty appalled by it all.
That could affect anybody in the shop, and that is a big fun there.
Sadly, the teenagers escaped the multi-million-pound camera network, and they're free to terrorise tomorrow.
They're hitting towards McDonald's.
I've crisscrossed London, hearing stories and looking for answers. My final stop, a man who's given up on all the promises of law and order and put his shop in a cage.
Yum yum. No today. No yum yum left.
Is this the future? The former Indian Army officer created this Stockwell fortress when the previous owners could take no more. Without the bars, he says, this, the only shop on the estate, would close. What do the good customers say, though?
This all at safety comes first, and you are always secure inside. Stay inside.
So the bars are staying?
Bars always, always.
They call you the tiger, the cage tiger of the estate.
It's always free. Customers are free outside, I am free inside. And nothing to worry, nothing to suspect from them on me. And they are always welcome, and I'm serving them.
Pitted against supermarkets and all too convenient for the criminal, it's perhaps no wonder 6 small shops close down in Britain every single day. The Kumars managed to keep their panic button. Oren's new kickboxing skills remain untested. The baker's vandals were never caught. All will reopen tomorrow to fight another day.